Good morning, good morning, good morning to you, all my subscribers and my followers. And welcome to my channel for those of you who are just here for the first time. I hope you enjoy the Casey McVanue That Speak channel. And hopefully that the information that I share here with you will bring you some information that is useful, and also that you will also check behind what I share and find out more developing, you know, details on the story of what just took place in Tanzania, Tanzania, in East Africa. In that country, from what I understand, an investigation is taking place right now, and I'm praying and hoping this family will get the justice that they so rightfully deserve. Before I get into the conversation, let's go into our Father's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Lord, give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lord, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thou you are the kingdom, the power, and all the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Just like I said, I believe this family should get the right justice, because this didn't make no sense that this man should get away with what happened to their daughter in taking her to a foreign country, and something happening to her life while she's there, and he's just going ghost and not actually reaching out to the family to make sure that everything is okay, and at least seeing that Ashley body is returned back to the United States of America. Every move that this man, so-called Joe, made is suspect. I'm sorry. If nobody can see this as something that he has some part of, then something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with you, because there's no way you're going to take a woman that you supposedly going to get married to and build a life with to a foreign country and not even reach out to the family. I made a mistake when I did the video the first time. I thought the family said he reached out to them, but he didn't reach out to them until afterwards. Okay, it was the hotel who reached out to them. It was the people from the security or whatever that found her body there reached out to them. Okay, but it's so much going on around the story that he called and told them that she'll be okay. She's unresponsive, but she'll be okay, whatever. And then afterwards, or whatever, like that, um, the people, from what I understand, that found her was the ones who reached out to the family. He came afterwards, and then he never spoke with them again. Didn't even call a check to say, well, I'm going to stay here, make sure, a full investigation is going on, make sure she gets the justice that she deserves. If something foul play or whatever happened to her. Because from what I understand, there was a lot of fighting going on with them, with the couple, and they had to be separated in different rooms, and they were also staying at one resort, but they were kicked off that resort because of the people complaining of the ongoing arguments and fights that were taking place. This is so tragic, and it is just so many other things developing around it. I'm just praying and hoping for the best for the family, the father, the mother, and all the other loved ones who are now waiting to hear more about what's going on. Her body is still, from what I understand, is in Tanzania, and Tanzania, Tanz I don't know how to pronounce that country, but from what I know about that country is that they are a Muslim country, and I'm trying to find out more about him, because from what I hear, he's also a foreigner too. He's also from either that part of the country, or he's out there from Kilimanjaro, somewhere in Africa. He's a white Africano, and I keep telling people, I don't trust these foreign men. I don't trust rich, foreign men that stay out of the country more than they stay in the country of the United States of America. If they have any businesses going on overseas in foreign countries and got employees there and all sort of kind of things. I don't get impressed so easily over people's success and what money they make and how they make their money. That's why a lot of channels I really move, I keep it moving. I don't try to get on channels so that I can get popularity or anything such as especially monetary gain, especially for selfish ambition. I don't think I like to work online as a living. That's not my thing. I like to go places where I can really truly work and be around people so that I can really feel the energy that I'm around. You can't really feel real people when you on social media interacting all the time with people and just selling them products that you might not even be satisfied with, but just out of your money and gain and wanting to survive or whatever, you use that hustle. It's not for everybody. Now, from what I understand, the young lady, Ashley, she had her channel growing and popping locally in the United States, here in the United States. I don't know about anywhere else, but how she met this man and how they teamed up together and how they became partners. But I don't know if she did any research. Just because he's selling you dreams and selling you, this good life, this soft so-called life that you haven't, I would be more suspicious of that. I would be doing a lot more digging information about who he is really and how he came to be successful. I would have been able to find out if he's been married before. Do he have children? And so forth and so on. You just don't go out in the world and just meet somebody and just automatically just go off to a foreign country with them thinking that you're safe. That has been proven to us in so many ways before. Before Ashley, it was other women who husbands taken them to foreign countries and unalived them so that they would not have to deal with being brought to justice. I think it was either Pete something case. He took his wife on this trip in mountain climbing or some sort of thing of that nature, and unalived her. You know, and I believe that happened in the U.S. But I'm gonna do more research on and find out where it really how it transpired. But I'm just gonna share this part of what the father said here in this small clip that I got on Google, so you can figure it out and see for yourself what the father is saying. Anger, sadness. It's like a part of me has just been taken away. On April 5th, influencer Ashley Robinson, who goes by Ashley Janae on social media, was celebrating her 31st birthday in Zanzibar, Tanzania. She was on the vacation with her boyfriend of 1 year, who popped the question just 2 days before. We believe that they were in love. We believe that their relationship was genuine. Ashley's mother says she never would have expected that less than a week later, her daughter would be dead. On April 8th, she says Ashley called, saying she and her fiancé got into an argument and were moved to separate rooms. The next day, she received another call, this time from her fiancé. He told me that Ashley did something to herself and that she was being taken to the hospital. I said, what happened when? And he told me it had been 11 hours. Hours later, the luxury hotel the couple was staying at called saying Ashley passed away. According to the hospital's medical report, Ashley had an unidentified mark around her neck. They wrote, quote, according to the husband, he found she hanged herself on the door with several question marks. Sometime Jill went back to the room with security, and that's how they found her. Ashley was also taken to a second hospital who listed her cause of death as cerebral hypoxia by strangulation and suffocation. She's never done anything that would ever lead me to believe that she would do something to harm herself. She was not just going to be discarded and forgotten about. Ashley's mother finally spoke out, and the more I hear,
The more I'm like, yo, this girl did not do this to herself. Ashley's mother said that she spoke to her during the trip. Ashley checked in with her. Ashley told her that she got in an argument with Joe and they ended up being in separate rooms. So how he got to her room, into her room, was let into her room, I believe is on those cameras. And then the police are saying that what Joe is saying is that he found her hanging on the door. She had a mark around her neck, as stated in the police report, and the cause of death was stated to be strangulation and suffocation. And that doesn't sound like suicide to me, I'm sorry. Strangulation and suffocation sounds like somebody did something to her. Now, her family says that they are willing to go over to Zanzibar to, if they have to get further answers. And this is crazy. Crazy. It's clearly somebody's trying to cover something up. And then the resort is being so hush hush about it. Her fiance's not saying much. Yeah.
Let me say this, okay? That he took her to this specific place for her 31st birthday. Here he is, this billionaire from doing crypto coins, whatever, on selling, whatever kind of crypto he has, which I think is crazy. I never got into that stuff, and I pray I never have to get into global currency like that because that's dangerous. You're dealing with people you really don't know, you don't have a personal relationship with, and then on top of that, these are mostly groups of people who follow doing things as far as terrorism. So you don't know who you're dealing with. The best thing to do is always keep your money local if you can. Okay, if you can, keep your money local. And before you go visiting other countries, do a lot of research. From what I understand, Tanzania is on the ban list from the USA. From what I understand, that is one part of the USA that is on the list of being a sanctioned country. I don't know how true it is, but we could look at it together. Let's try to find out this together. Let's try to look this up together, okay? Let's let's look it up. Countries. Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Iraq, Lebanon, Mali, and Hong Kong. I am looking, something ain't right. Well, I don't see them there. I'm just going to question and ask, is Tanzania? Yep, it says it right here. As of January of this year, the United States has imposed partial travel restrictions and visa suspensions on Tanzania, acting under President's Proclamation 10998. These restrictions primarily target specific visitors, B1 and B2 student, FM, and exchange visas, as well as most immigrant visas, due to security, information sharing, and immigration concerns. Key details: targeted restrictions. The restrictions apply to the insurance of certain non immigrant and immigrant visas for Tanzanian nationals. According to the U.S. Embassy in Tanzania, the actions were taken to ensure border security and address concerns about visa overstay and information exchange, as noted in the White House. These are partially restrictions, which means they do not constitute a complete ban, allowing for some expectations, such as for legitimate trade, diplomacy, or permanent residence. Impact on travel, according to Klein Keeley. These sanctions impact Tanzania's national traveling to the U.S., not U.S. citizens traveling to Tanzania, although a general level 3 travel advisory was previously noted for safety. These measures are part of a broader set of actions when against several nations, as reported by BBC News and listened to global sanctions. So, see, this country is partially banned from the U.S. for people coming in and out of the U.S. for whatever reasons. So that was one of the restricted reasons. It's not that Americans can't come and travel to Tanzania, but it's for Tanzanians coming into the United States. These are partially banned B1s, B2s, and student visas or whatever. So that's the partial ban of Tanzania. It's not that you can't enter into the country, it's that you can't really go from the country to the United States of America. So that's going to be an issue with the family going over there. Um, Hopefully, prayerfully, they'll have some security with them as they go. Somebody that can represent from the United States government on behalf of the family that can go with them, because I don't trust those people over there, because them to say, call and say that it was suicidal and they was fighting, and then there was separations of the couple in other rooms or whatever, don't sound right to me. And then on top of that, this man having money the way he's supposed to have, and he's in a foreign country with that money, especially over there in a poor place like Tanzania, because they mostly make their money on tourism for their, exotic, not exotic, but just the things, the animals to be running wild out there, and they got the giraffes, the safari animals, and everything to be around them, and the people get to walk around the animals like that. I don't go to no country where they got wild animals. Okay, walking around freely. No, thank you. I am not interested. I think I will go to the zoo. I think I will go to the zoo. But anyway, people just want to travel and go places in the world and see other things, adventures, and explore. Okay, that's your thing, that's your thing. But that's not my thing. I've always liked to stay close to home for those specific reasons. In case something happened, my family wouldn't have to go through this type of thing, go find my body in a foreign country and try to get me back to bury me. That is crazy. People likes to travel to these places. You ain't got no relatives there. You ain't got no family over there. You just traveling. You just having fun. And I got family members that do that all the time. They traveling out there in the world all over the place, and not even concerned about those things. Not concerned about something like be turning up like an Ashley, or you know, whatever, anything can happen. Stay close to home if you can. If you do try to decide to go on a vacation somewhere far away, whatever, please, if you can, make sure you got some money. That's all I got to say. Just make sure you got some money, because I tell people like this, and everybody talk about how bad the United States is, and they don't want to, but you can't live nowhere else and have a better life. And you really can't, you know. These countries, they got a wicked government. They got a wicked government. The way they ride on their people and don't really give them nothing. And while the people over there just live luxuriously and leave they poor, struggling, suffering, no kind of help whatsoever. I just say it like this, everybody should just stay in their own goddamn country. That's all I got to say. Everybody just stay in your own country and try to make it work better. Until you could get it better over there, then you can binge out and go other places to visit. But other than that, I think everybody need to stay in their own damn country. And what happened to this young girl, Ashley, of course, this young woman. Anyway, very beautiful girl, very beautiful. She was a model and she had her own little brand. She was working with her own brand. And she also was selling her, you know, her beauty. Her beauty was part of her work. And I hope she ensured the most important things that she was selling as far as her beauty. Was it her body? Was it her eyes? Was it her nose, her lips? Whatever part of her body she wants to ensure. If any damages were caused by that, because I remember Tina Turner legs was insured. But anyway, something this is something just don't sit right with this story about how this all happened to her. So so devastating, devastating. But I'm praying and hoping that her family, devastating. Oops, I'm praying and hoping that her family will get the justice that they so rightfully deserve, because this don't make no sense. And then on top of that, I shared with you yesterday how this story ended for these other two young women, Shanquilla Robinson, and also what happened to Sade Robinson. Even though Sade's story is a little different, it happened here, right here in the United States of the, only reason I put her there is because her body was dismembered and was washed up on the shore from online dating, or dating somebody from a website, or whatever they call that stuff. I never forget when that first came out. I had a roommate and I was living in New York. And me and my roommate, I was, of course, going through my season of a breakup and more into the church, going to church and getting myself cleaned up with the Lord and getting myself the strength, the spiritual strength that I needed. While my roommate, who was a mother, a divorced mother, and she was also struggling taking care of two children by two different fathers on her own, one from her husband and one from outside of the marriage, and she just had to struggle with that house. So I helped move in with her so that I can be part of the struggle with her, to help her in some kind of financial way, for to help her with her bills or whatever. So of course I lived there, but then she started wanting to date gentlemen online, and I used to tell her, I said, no, this isn't safe. This isn't a good idea that you would be, leaving your children and going off in with this stranger. And I told her, sometimes it breaks up a friendship too. So, but at least by what I did, she might be mad at me, but then again, she's kind of glad she had me as a roommate and as a friend. In a way, she's still kind of mad at me saying I said things about, I didn't say nothing that was going to harm her. I was more concerned about her and her children because she was doing this online dating, and I just wasn't with that. I just wasn't with that, and I'm still not into online dating. I just don't go with the world like that. I'm from an old world. I'm from a world where we didn't do stuff like that. If your gentleman approached you, pursue you, then you go out. If you interested, your answer could be either yes or no. I never I never took interest in dating anybody, that strangers that I just meet on social media or online or whatever. No, that stuff is very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. So anyway, after that whole thing happened, you have some people that get lonely real quick and they just got to hook up with somebody on the quickness just to deal with their pain. But me at the time, I didn't want to be in a relationship with nobody but Jesus, because that's the only place I found my comfort, my safety, my happiness, my joy, my peace, my everything. Being by myself was a good thing. I got to do a lot of things by myself. I got to learn a lot about me, about my, you know, certain things that I know that I might love to do, and certain things I just know I'm not going to want to be a part of. Okay, point blank, period. And this is one of the things I don't be a part of, is online dating, or actually going out on a date with people outside of, especially someone who is outside of my race. I don't have a problem with if that's what you want to do, but make sure y'all both are being true and honest to each other. No financial institution you building, no none of that stuff, that other extra stuff, that y'all really truly genuinely care about each other and y'all want to be together and y'all truly want to have a life together with a family or whatever. No high expectations on the other person. No looking for this person to stay this beautiful woman as she grow older and her body and everything start changing and her children start coming, that you're going to ignore her beauty where you can't see it even more, you know, blossoming in her as y'all go along in life. There's people out here that just want to hook up with people just for financial reasons, and that is when it gets dangerous. When you only want to be with somebody on the the level of finances, that can happen in an instant where money can get lost. Loss of a job, loss of income, loss of a spouse. Things might get tough or whatever like that. But the whole thing of being together, and that's the way the Lord puts it, is that He puts you together so you can both be able to be fruitful and to multiply, not to just be a gold digger or a scammer or somebody that just want to take advantage of people and use people for whatever reasons you want to use them for. And that's where people are going wrong today in relationships is not built on love anymore. It's built on building a financial institution, couple goals, all of this stuff that they put out on the social media, all this luxury lifestyles and living and all the glamour and everything else like that. I don't, me personally, I just think some things should just stay personal off the cameras of YouTube and social media. And when you in your relationship, y'all shouldn't be doing all of this lovey-dovey stuff on the camera. And then on top of that, teaching couple goals and all that other stuff. No, those things are matters of the heart, and those things are sacred. And those things should be kept out of the public's eye. That is between you and your significant other. No one else supposed to be in between your bedroom or in your life story like that. But you two sharing your life as one together. I'm so glad my husband don't do social media. I mean, I do it, but I'm starting to, slowly but surely break away from it. Basically, this is all I really do now, and mostly on, when I go to Facebook, I'm, want my family and friends that are close to me. I might post a picture every now and then and just talk about that picture. I post some things of, trending conversations or whatever, but I don't do all of the other extra stuff that I see a lot of people do on social media. Like I'm looking at these mothers that want to share their life story on social media with their children and their spouses, and to me it's kind of like too extra. Okay, first of all, I don't think you should be having your children faces on social media around a bunch of strangers and certain kind of other people. You know what I'm saying? You just got to be very careful about what you share. Hold on. I'm. Yeah. Hold on. Hello, yeah, that was my sister. She wanted to ask me something. But anyway, right, like I said, because we got somewhere to go today. But anyway, y'all, I'm just going to say this. Just be careful about where you go, places you go, people you meet. Have discernment. I talk about that all the time here. This is what I come to social media to do, to bring some awareness, basically, around certain things that people are going through. Um, this has been going on a lot, and especially with young women just going off on vacation with their loved one or with their partner and end up being unalive. And it's not only just happened with young women, there has been stories of men too that took their girlfriends on vacation or gave them some kind of special, entertaining them with some kind of special celebration or whatever, and end up being unalive. It's going on a lot in our young people today, young America today. I'm just praying for you young women out here, you young men out here. I hope y'all can find a better way to communicate and respect one another and just enjoy being together. It don't have to be so extra all over the world showing your life story to a bunch of strangers that you really don't know. And this, and from what I get from these young women, they got no discernment. That's the only thing I can get is no. It was no discernment given. We talk to our people about God. We talk to young people about God, but God is amazing. But you also have to be amazing with God, meaning that you have to learn how to guard and protect your life as you go along. How you have to read the room, read the people, get to know who they mindset. That's why anybody that come to me with all that money talk, I stay away from those kind of conversations, because the more people talk about financially building and money and things, the more and more the heart is wicked. That's the way I look at it. The more you talk about how to gain success and how to become rich and how to do this and how to do that, not knowing how to be more spiritually strong and how to have more spiritual wisdom. You rather be rich with the world, and the world don't love you. Okay? People will sell you anything for $1. And you have to be very careful with that. And a lot of times, that's what a lot of young women are falling for. They want themselves a man to give them a soft life. They want to lay back and enjoy life while he works. It's not like that. It's work together. And they want this husband with all this money and luxury and riches. Don't you know those are the most people you have to watch out for when you want to hook up with somebody who have and you have not? That should be a sus. That should be. Don't look at these movies and fall in love with the fact that this fantasy is being displayed to you. That's not the real. That's not the truth. That's not the reality. Okay. Stop looking at these movies where you see the man show this woman all of this great. That's performance. That's acting. That's performance, and that's stage. But the reality is, when you both really care and love one another, you don't even have to have the big wedding bang, but the big shebang and all of the flowers and the flower girl and the groomsmen and all that fancy whatever luxurious extravagant wedding. Y'all could just go and have a nice little, hey, let's go and get married in the courthouse, and let's do this in the church. Let's say our vows again. And now, if you are family to the church, and your church family could be witnesses and everything to y'all being together. Some people in my church, they get married on church service time. They have their wedding. They don't do a big thing. They just come up to be married. They have that at the church. Like people that truly want to be together and they want to make it legal. So they go to the altar right there in the church. Join the church service. They'll have a special service after the service is over, and then they have the day where, hey, so and so are getting married today, and y'all could come back for the celebration. And they have like coffee and cake, and they serve like food and stuff to their guests. that come to celebrate with them. They bring a bunch of food and stuff to the church, and they get married that way. They don't do this the traditional, overly extravagant, spending a lot of money weddings. They Before, back in the days, it was more genuine and real. So people basically did it that way because families all pulled together to make that special for their young daughters. The fathers would do that for their young daughters. And also the mother and everything would get her ready to dress her and to teach her about women, sharing some woman things with her. Today they don't do that. People just meet anybody and just grab them and say, I'm in love, and they go get married, and next thing you know, somebody's unalive. But the real true love, you find it in the heart when you find yourself true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Don't just hook up with somebody just to be with them and don't really like them, but the reason you want to be with them is because you want to gain that financial institution with them, and you want to live that so-called soft life. I'm not saying this was Shanquilla's choice, or Sade's choice. Sade is sad that she went on this date with this gentleman, didn't really know much about him. You know, young girls just going on a date with a stranger where there's no protection around, where there's no father, no mother to say, look, we want your date to come to the door so we could get to meet this gentleman. We want to get to know more about him. We want to ask him, young man, come to the house and meet the family, bring the flowers, bring some chocolate or whatever to the family, and just say, look, or bring the father some cigars and say, look, I want to take your daughter out on a date. What happened to those days? What has happened to those days? Back at the time when I was coming up, well, my older brothers and well, my older sister anyway, she couldn't go out with no boy out of the house, and my father didn't get to see who he was. What is wrong with people today? They just let their young daughters just go out there and be wild. Oh, she's grown. I don't care how grown she is. When you got a young daughter, even if she out there on her own, you will call. My mother called me just about every day. Every day. And I was grown. And my mother would ask me every day if I'm okay. How's it going? She never implied in my marriage. She never got in my business about my relationship, really. But she had her concerns. Okay? And I think every mother needs to start doing that. When your daughters are out here dating or whatever, they even talk to you about a date. You get on that phone and you call her and say, look, I'm just saying this because I'm your mother and I care about you, and ain't nobody gonna hurt no more than I am if something, God forbid, happens to you. So I have to tell you these things just so I can feel clean and my conscience and my heart can be at ease. Don't just let your kids just run out in the world without no guidance. And that's what a lot of people are missing today. They're missing guidance. This young girl Sade, if her father was involved and said, "Look, I don't feel comfortable with you going out with somebody I don't know, and you only 19 and you just getting out there in the world. Please, I would rather you bring him to dinner or bring him to the house for dinner or whatever, so we could get to meet this gentleman, so we could get to know much more about him. Even though people put on a good front, but at least you get another set of eyes there, other people that can get you their own personal opinion. Don't just take anybody for their face value. Let somebody else get another opinion before you run out in the world and start dating just any character that comes along with you that got money. And especially for this young lady, him to take her all the way to Tanzania, where it's, from what I understand in that country and everything, it's a poor government there. Look at what the police. You could easily bribe the police and tell them don't tell give them some money and shut people up. Look at what happened to Shanquilla. All these scammers came and people came from out of that country to know how to, lie and to steal from people just so people could get information that they didn't really have the true story about. And then those young people just still not brought to justice. The people that was with her, nobody cared about the fact that they took her out there just to set it up that way. in the United States government just allowed that to just happen to her. That's horrible. And I don't think nobody should shut her case. I don't think her case should go cold at all. I don't think there should be a cold case at all. I think Shanquilla's story, everybody calling this morning. But anyway, like I said, Shanquilla's story stayed open, is still going around for a reason. Because, see, God is trying to tell us something. Because this just happened to, what just happened to Ashley, this happened to Shanquilla. And look at the name. It keeps saying Robinson. God, these people are calling me early this morning to come into these windows. But it keep happening under the name of Robinson. And when you hear stories like this, and these people have the same surnames, that is saying something about, and they all happened. One is 19, one was 25, and one just turned 31. And Shanquilla's story, when she went to Mexico to Los Carbos, and look at the places that these things are happening at. It was supposed to be in a luxury villa with all of this beautiful everything there, a game room, a pool, a deck where you could sit on what they call again, one of those things, a nice dining area where they had chefs that came in and cooked the food, and they enjoyed themselves eating tacos and enchiladas or whatever Mexican foods that they had that evening to eat. Just enjoying the high life. Okay, and next thing you know, 24 hours later, she's dead and gone. And they calling her family, telling her she had some alcohol poisoning. Then they turn around and tell her that she died. And then a video comes surfacing that your daughter getting beaten, butt naked by some bully, some brawly woman, beating your daughter up. And she had disconnected her spine from her neck, broke her neck and her spine and everything to destroy that young girl just like that on the camera. And you mean to tell me no justice was brought to this wasn't brought to justice? Now I'm glad they waking up that they going hard for Ashley because it happened before and it's going to happen to somebody else's daughter. So you got to bring this to justice because it just might be your daughter next. If you want to sit around and ignore somebody's child that something horrible like this happened to them, and you see it happen, and you're going to sit up there and say that it's good that it happened, or just say wicked things out of your mouth, or ignore it like it can't be you. This should not go ignored of what happened to this young lady, Ashley, and what happened to Shanquilla. And Sade, they brought this man to justice. But I'm just saying, the person that did the dismemberment of Sade was brought to justice. When you ignore crimes as serious as this of women being taken to foreign lands and murdered and killed, don't you think this can come to your home, to your child, or whatever? That's why when we see things like this, we talk about it so that we can get the right justice that it deserves. This can actually happen to anybody's daughter, whether you black, white, Chinese, Japanese, Indian, whatever. They meet some strange man and he's all of a sudden playing that he loves them and takes them off to a foreign country. And you're not questioning him. I don't care how much you could give my daughter that ring right here in front of me, or you could give my daughter that ring right here where we all can be there to celebrate with y'all. I ain't letting my daughter out my sight with you because I don't know you that well to trust you to take my daughter to a foreign country and unalive her, and then come back and tell me she died from suicide. And the poor mother looked so distorted. She looked so out of it. You know, the father's doing most of the talking, but the mother is really, really like, oh my God, she's like in shock. And from what I see in the mother's also involved now in a relationship where her new husband is white. So she might feel kind of bad in a way that she basically promoted that type of lifestyle for her daughter. The father's with a black wife, but the mother's with a white man. Read the room. And it sounds like the mother was the influencer behind Ashley's life. That this was what she was saying, to get yourself a nice rich white man with some money and take care of you and all this other stuff and treat you like a beauty queen. Da 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 da. You know, some black women believe that. I don't believe that. I got the poorest black man and I'm happy. I'm happy because I know where he's at most of the time. I know his family. And I know he makes his money honestly. He don't make his money dishonestly. He works with his hands when he can. He works with his hands and he works his regular job. Okay? He makes his little side hustle and he does his other work on his regular job for his, benefits, his insurance, whatever. So I'm good. So far, so good. And I'm not trying to go nowhere right now. Never. Okay? I'm trying to take this all the way to the grave. But you don't have to have a luxurious life to be happy. You just got to be happy with each other. And that's the most important thing. You don't need all that luxury. Because to me, the more you showing luxury, the more you seem to be empty inside. Something that is not fulfilled. And you will never find happiness in things. And those things after a while gets boring to you. It wears you out. It's like, oh God, I don't know. You ain't got nothing else to be, you know, actually looking forward to. You bored. You saw the movie Scarface. She went to the next highest bidder, and this woman was bored out of her mind. She didn't have nothing to do but sit around all day and drink and smoke, and also sniff cocaine, cause her life was so boring. What she did all day long. That was the thing. That was the day. Every day they went out to eat. They didn't really cook no meals. They always went to some fancy restaurant or to some fancy dinner nightclub or whatever to party, to drink, to smoke and make business, corrupt crime deals. That life is not a life of luck. That life is not a life that you really truly want to have. The most important life you want to have with somebody is really truly sharing it with somebody that cares about you and you also care about them on the same level of respect. That's the best life you can get. And you got so much you can share together in common. That's the beauty of a relationship. A relationship is not based on things or beauty, because that beauty one day can wear out. You're going to have kids. Things, life hits you hard. You're going to start sagging in your face. You're going to start showing sadness in your eyes. Or all that bright, sparkling stuff going on in your face is going to wear out after certain life experiences. So you can't always just stay on your beauty. You can't always just stay on your beauty. You have to sometimes look on the inside. And that's when we talk to Jesus. That's when we get to know Jesus. Because that's what these, not saying that I think Sade was like that. She was still very, very young. Very young. She was only 19. She was just starting out in the world. She was just getting herself out in the world. And somebody found her out there and just took her life. And I look back and I said, what kind of household did she come from? Was her mother and father or her family ever checking behind her or just letting her know she's going out on a date with somebody she met online? I would have been like, no, baby, you got to bring him here. I did that to my niece one time. It happened a long, very long time ago, but she was just getting out in the world and she came to stay with me and my sister. We were roommates and we were living together in an apartment that my older sister left to us. And my niece came out there to stay with us. And when she came, she wanted to go hang out and date and everything. And I said, wait a minute, where you going? She said, "Oh, no." I said, where's this gentleman you supposed to be going out with? And then she looked and she said, I'm going to meet him. I said, no, he got to come to the house, sweetheart. We got to see who this gentleman looked like. We got to see what he looked like. And that's exactly what I had to do. And I was still only in my 20s. But that's something that I just wasn't going to allow my sister child, who was just in our care, to go out in the world and meet some dude and just get involved with this man. And God forbid anything happened to her, I would have been scared out of my damn mind. Okay? Especially when you're dealing with somebody trusts you with a child. I don't care how old she is. I don't care how old she is. But if somebody come in your home with a child, I mean, that's a family member's child, you going to make sure you give them the same rules as if they parents, you were their parents. I don't still let my niece just run out there in the world and just be with somebody I ain't getting to know who she going out with. And God forbid anything would have happened to her, all of that would have been on me and my sister. Because we were the adults that was supposed to make sure she was safe. But I don't understand how these parents or these mothers, I don't care how grown your kids get, your daughters, especially your daughter, you check on your sons too. But the most important thing is to check on your young daughters, especially as beautiful as these young ladies were. I'm not letting, if I had a daughter, she's not going out there with no boyfriend that I don't get to meet or get to screen him, get to know something about him. At least if anything happens, I got some kind of information I can share with the investigation or whatever goes on. I don't even think this mother really knew this man that her daughter was with. I'm going back to talking about Ashley. Because when they asked the mother, she was like, oh, I think they were genuinely in love. How the hell could somebody be genuinely in love with your daughter and take them all the way to Tanzania and all of a sudden don't communicate with you whatsoever? That's not genuinely in love. I would have said, baby, won't you think that's a little bit too much? I would have been like, he want to take you to Tanzania, but I don't trust going there right now. Why don't you try somewhere like Puerto Rico or go somewhere like to the Virgin Islands or something like that and enjoy your, little extravagant trip or whatever, your romance and everything else, or for your birthday. But Tanzania is too far, baby. It's too far for me to get there. God forbid, I would have came up with something to say. You just don't let your daughters and young girls just go off into a foreign country with a man. I don't care how much you think he might love your daughter. No. And she's out there in the public all the time in a local platform that she holds on selling beauty. And she's wearing things that sometimes that can be very, very attractive. She's an attractive woman, a very attractive woman, and beautiful. Everything was well, she was a model. Okay, she sold beauty. So of course, I wouldn't want my beautiful daughter going on any foreign adventure with anybody. No, not even if she had friends going. No. Tranquilla mother was questioning her whereabouts all the time. That's why she seemed a little bit more calmer and at peace with herself when it happened. She didn't do as much boo-hooing and the crying and the craziness as much as the father did. Because it sounded like the father probably allowed Shanquilla to do whatever Shanquilla wanted to do because that was his baby girl and he just gave Shanquilla whatever Shanquilla wanted. But it seemed like the mother always seemed more like the type that was like, no, she can't have this. No, I don't like the fact that you go in there. The mother questioned things. She questioned her daughter's life. She questioned things her daughter was out there doing. She did do that. When you heard her interview with Shanquilla's mother took some concerns about her daughter going to Mexico because she even said, I just questioned her, like, you going to Mexico? And the mother called to make sure she was okay when she was out there. And the last she spoke to her, and then the video came surfacing up. So sometimes the father probably was like, oh, gave her the money to go, probably gave her the money to do whatever she wanted to do, whenever she wanted to do it. And the mother probably was a little bit more Like, look, I don't want her to have that. I don't think that would be the best thing to give your child. The mother probably went through prayer and everything else, but the father probably allowed her to just do what the hell she want to do. You know how children manipulate things, especially when the parents are living in separate homes, and you could get something from one parent, but you can't get it from the other parent, so you know how to play both parents. So this is what young people do. And I just didn't think it was a good idea. Well, even though she probably felt some kind of at ease because Shanquilla did tell her mother she was going there with a bunch of other people. Some people that she probably didn't even really know. You know how people hook up for a certain kind of trip and they all stay at a certain place and everything? Because I've done it before with my church. We went to Charlotte, North Carolina. This is when I was in New York, and my church. We got together. We all went on this trip to Charlotte, North Carolina, to go to Billy Graham's, tour Billy Graham's house, and also to visit with another church that was out there, to visit with them, and do whatever we do as church folks. So I went on something like that, and of course we stayed all in a hotel room. We stayed at the Howard Johnson's or something like that, but it was really nice. We had our events that went on. We had games and all kind of wonderful things. We had dinner. It was beautiful. We had a really nice catering dinner, lunch, breakfast, everything. It came with a package, but it was nice. It was a nice getaway with the church. People do that. But I'm just saying, as for the young woman going on these extravagant vacations with strangers, a bunch of other young people, because I don't really think Shanquilla really knew these people that she was out there on this adventure with. I don't think she knew the girls that well. I think maybe the mother says she knew two of them. She didn't know all the rest of those people. So I don't think Shanquilla knew them either. And sometimes people go on these excursions or these kind of things and you meet up with people and stuff and then they trying to rob you. And I think this is probably what happened with Shanquilla. I think they was probably setting her up all throughout that time that they was going to set it up that she was going to, and her friend Hill or whoever his name was, the gay guy, because I don't hang out with those people anyway. Okay, it's just not my. Let people do it. That's their thing, but that's not my thing. So anyway, y'all, like I said, you gotta be careful about who your friends are, what kind of people you get yourself hooked up to in a relationship with. And fellas out there that got young daughters or whatever, because I know my age group here is people more close to my age. If you have daughters that are 31 and 20, I don't care how old they get, they single, they going out on a date, please tell them to please bring these dates to your attention. Like bring them home so we can see who they are or learn more about them, you know? Don't just let your daughters just meet up with any dude just because he got money and he seemed to be a nice guy because he got money and you get blinded by all of that other stuff. Make sure you do some thorough checking of who your child is hanging around and who they with. Try to do as much as you can is watching as well as praying for your children. And with that being said, I love you. God bless you. And if God's willing, I'll be back with you later. So you all take care. Peace.